Welcome to Wild and Scenic. It is the Media Lounge here. We're based in Nevada City at the Nevada City Winery, right next to our headquarters at Miners Foundry. It's been such an extraordinary time so far, and I can't believe it's been 24 years of this festival. It's the largest festival of its kind, actually, in the United States. I have the privilege of connecting with so many phenomenal storytellers, filmmakers, including Ben Ayers, who's here with us, who has several films at the festival, and they are all amazing, Ben. So first, welcome.
Kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you. You came out from Vermont?
Yep.
Okay, so should we talk about Snow Leopard Sisters, and then what was the other one that takes place in Maine?
Yep, so Snow Leopard Sisters is a feature film that we did set in the Dolpo region of Nepal. And then the second film is a short called The Human Side of Plastic, and it profiles a microplastics researcher who lives on an island off the coast of Maine, who's looking at how microplastics and plastic pollution is impacting the local fishing, the fisheries there, the lobster fishery, and trying to present an alternative to that.
Right, because just give us some statistics. For example, with the lobsters, what it reduced, was it 30% or something like that?
I think it's been 40%. So with both the change in the temperature of the ocean, but also pollutants like microplastics. The lobster fishery in Maine, which is one of the biggest economic drivers in the state, is declining rapidly year upon year. There's been research that shows that microplastics impact the molting cycle of lobster larvae. And so, these are very delicate ecosystems. These are very sensitive things. And one of the interesting things about the lobster fishery is many people look to that as an example of a sustainable fishery. The lobstermen there have had this long culture of any egg-bearing lobster they put back.
Okay.
So for centuries, they've been growing the fishery. And that has worked for a long time. It's been very sustainable for working families there. But now with threats like microplastic pollution, that despite all of their best efforts, it's looking like that fishery is threatened.
In both of the movies we're going to discuss today, you highlight extraordinary people.
Absolutely.
Who are looking at solutions around this.
Yeah.
So tell us about that with the microplastics and in Maine and what she's doing.
Well, and in both films, too, it's extraordinary women and strong women,
100%,
which is such an
strong,
important thing for our world and such an inspiring thing for me, as a filmmaker and storyteller. So the main character in the microplastics film is this woman, Abby Barrows. Abby is a microplastics researcher by trade. She's been all over the world finding microplastics in the air in Antarctica, in glacial ice, in different bodies of water, all over the world, understanding the extent of the issue of how prevalent microplastics are in our ecosystems. And then she goes back home to the island where she grew up and realized that she wasn't content just doing research, but wanted to take action. So Abby is sort of by trial and error trying to come up with ways to make money in the aquaculture industry, but without putting more plastic into the environment. So she's had to invent different ways of growing oysters, kelp, other products in the waters around Deer Isle and Stonington, Maine. And that's serving as an example. It's an alternative that even if the lobster fishery is going to decline, there is hope for the future. There are ways we can do this better.
Right, and oysters, as I learned recently now living in New York, there's the Billion Oyster Project there, for example, because oysters filter.
Correct.
They filter pollutants.
Yeah.
And it's pretty dramatic, actually. It's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
The level that it does.
Yeah, and there's ways, there are all of these solutions. It's one of the reasons that for this series of films that we're doing it in partnership with a company, SC Johnson, which is a consumer goods company.
Ooh, and they're one of our sponsors here at Wild Scenic this year.
And they're a fantastic company. They're a privately owned company, and they have a very strong commitment towards, and one of their real focuses is reducing ocean-bound plastics. And the reason that we're telling stories about people like Abby is that it's very easy to get overwhelmed. It's very easy to sort of look at how prevalent plastics are in our world and give up. But there need to be stories about how change is possible. And Abby is a great example of that. SC Johnson is also working towards plastic regulation. As a company that produces plastic, they're going out of their way to try to vote for more, to push for more stringent regulations. Global plastics treaties, the Global Plastics Treaty, and things like extended producer responsibility, which California is in the process of adopting, which places the burden of recycling and regulating plastic on the producers themselves.
Right, which is so important.
Because you have to keep it out of the stream.
So microplastics, I think we can all look at that and know that, yes, that's part of our everyday lives. The second film, though, with Snow Leopard Sisters, thinking, what a beautiful film. You mentioned it takes place in Nepal. Makes me think of here in the Sierra how we have mountain lions.
Sure.
And very similar with the snow leopards, and how vital they are, just like the snow leopards, they are to our ecosystem.
Yeah.
And the film, as you mentioned, highlights two extraordinary women who are part of this. Can you give us a quick synopsis of Snow Leopard Sisters? And, I mean, you went to Nepal. Yeah. There you were, trying to build relationships in this rural community that, I mean, it took her how long to get to that community? She walks.
Yeah. Well, so I've lived in Nepal for the past 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that film took us 5 years before we even started filming and to build the relationships and earn the trust. The area where we filmed, to reach our location, was 10 days by walking and by horseback.
10 days.
Just to reach there. Yeah, it's one of the most remote inhabited places left on the planet. And that's an area, much like here in the Sierras, it's high altitude desert. And it's a perfect habitat for snow leopards, which is a threatened species. There's only, I think, about 10,000 snow leopards left on the planet, and 400 of them live in this one area. The issue that the film unpacks is sort of, it looks at human-wildlife conflict and conservation. The snow leopard population there is going extinct because of predation on local goats that the communities raise for income generation. And the communities in response to predation by snow leopards will poison the snow leopards. And that's been decimating the population. We follow this one biologist who's from those villages who's trying to save the snow leopards, but that's very much, it's a much bigger project for her. And she takes on a young apprentice whose family has lost their whole life savings to a snow leopard attack. And together they kind of go on this journey where they're trying to figure out how to create solutions to that issue. What is
it that you want everyone to know, Ben, about the messaging, especially with the Snow Leopard Sisters film, and why it's so important for us to see that right now? And I want to just ask you some questions too about your personal experience in that. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the messaging for Snow Leopard Sisters, I think, the film is very, very inspiring just because of the character of the women and of the landscape that the film is set in. These are places, as I mentioned, they're some of the most remote places on Earth, and they're places that I think, by any definition, would be considered to be very poor, be very resource constrained. But you see the people there, and you realize that there's a lot we have to learn from those communities. And I think people will walk away from that film with a message about the strength and power of women in particular, and also just that hope exists and that change is possible.
I love that. You've been a filmmaker for a long time. You have the privilege of sharing these stories. How has this changed the way you live your life now?
Yeah, I mean, every film I make, even the plastics film in Maine, changes my life, because the way that the greatest privilege of being a filmmaker is I get to know people, I get to share their stories, and I get to sort of join them on this really intimate journey of telling their story and trying to understand what that is. And that always changes my life, because you also are telling stories of inspiring people. I want to be more like them. And Snow Leopard Sisters, it changed all of our lives. It changed my career, the trajectory of my career as a filmmaker. We made this film, and we didn't leave anything behind. It is the most pure form of verite storytelling that we could do. And for me, I think it really inspired me as an artist to keep, even in a time when these kind of stories are not as commercially viable, we've realized the importance, because of that film. As you'll see, that the lives of the characters changed through the process of making the film. Our lives changed, and we've actually been able to come up with a solution that will solve the problem in that area, and we've raised over $150,000 for that to date as well, which is great.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for everything you do.
Thank you.
And it's wonderful to have you here and be part of this festival and continuing the great work. It's so important. Thank you for highlighting women as well. And keep us updated.
Absolutely.
What are you working on next?
I'm working on a story about tigers
Okay.
in Nepal, a similar conservation narrative. And then I'll also be heading back to Everest Base Camp. One of my gigs is I do live broadcasting from Everest Base Camp, sort of
Really?
showing the ins and outs and the drama of the climbing season in real time.
Oh, no
It's a platform
way.
called
How do we
Everest
find
Live.
that? How do we, what is it called?
Everest Live.
Okay.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the socials.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah.
wow. I just connected with the Snow Queen.
Oh, yeah. Walk
We
She's great.
went on a walk together, so we'll have to
Excellent.
talk about that. All right. Connect with Ben here at the Wild and Scenic Film Festival. Come and see these amazing films. They're screening here all weekend. Wild and Scenic also has a tour that they do, so you can also catch those. And we also have archives and libraries. So wherever you can, make sure you check these out. I tell you, they will change your life as they have changed Ben's and certainly mine as well. I'm Elisa Parker. It is the Media Lounge, and we love being here at Wild and Scenic. And come and join us. Thanks so much, Ben.